You wake up in the morning, and instead of feeling heavy, bloated, or discouraged by what you see in the mirror, you feel lighter. Your waist feels less tight. Your energy feels steadier. And for the first time in a long time, you sense that your body is finally working with you instead of against you. Because the truth is, most people don't struggle with belly fat because they lack discipline. They struggle because they've been given the wrong battle plan. They're told to eat less, push harder, sweat more, restrict more. So they try, again and again, and yet the stubborn belly remains, not because they failed, but because the body was never supported. You see, excess belly fat is rarely just stored calories. It's often stress chemistry. It's inflammation. It's water retention. It's sluggish digestion. It's hormonal signals telling the body to hold on, protect, conserve, and no amount of punishment changes a protective body. Support does. When the body feels nourished, hydrated, and balanced, something remarkable happens. Bloating decreases. Cravings soften. Energy stabilizes. And fat-burning pathways begin to reactivate naturally, the way they were designed to. This is why simple daily rituals can create visible change, not extreme diets, not exhausting routines, but consistent signals of safety and nourishment that allow the body to release what it no longer needs. Over the next 2 weeks, this is exactly what we begin. A gentle reset, a metabolic nudge, a daily homemade drink designed to reduce inflammation, support digestion, and help the body shift out of storage mode and back into burning mode. 14 days may sound short, but the body responds quickly when given the right environment. And once that shift begins, motivation grows, confidence returns, and progress becomes visible, not just on the waistline, but in how you feel every single day. Because a flat belly is not created by force. It's created by balance. And balance can begin today. Belly fat is often treated like a simple math problem, calories in versus calories out. Eat less, move more, and the belly will shrink. But if that were the whole truth, millions of disciplined, hardworking people wouldn't still feel frustrated by that stubborn area around the waist that refuses to change. Because belly fat is not just about how much you eat. It's about what your body is experiencing internally every day. When stress becomes constant, the body releases cortisol, a hormone designed for survival. In short bursts, cortisol is helpful. But when it stays elevated from pressure, poor sleep, worry, or fatigue, the body shifts into protection mode. And one of the safest places it stores extra energy under stress is the abdomen. Not because the body is flawed, but because it is trying to keep you safe. At the same time, modern lifestyles often create silent inflammation. Processed foods, irregular meals, dehydration, and disrupted gut health can all irritate the digestive system. This irritation leads to bloating, water retention, and metabolic slowdown. So even when someone is eating reasonably well, their abdomen can still appear swollen or resistant to change. Digestion also plays a central role. When the gut is sluggish or imbalanced, food is not processed efficiently. Fermentation increases, gas builds, and the abdominal wall pushes outward. Many people interpret this as fat, when in reality, a significant portion is digestive distress and fluid retention, layered over actual fat storage. Hormones beyond cortisol also contribute. Insulin spikes from frequent sugar highs and lows encourage the body to store rather than burn. Poor sleep disrupts hunger hormones, increasing cravings and late night eating patterns that favor abdominal storage. Over time, the body learns a pattern: conserve energy, store around the middle, and resist release. So the issue is not laziness. It is not lack of effort, and it is rarely solved by harsher restriction. In fact, aggressive dieting often increases stress signals, making the body hold on even more tightly. True change begins when the internal environment shifts. When stress chemistry lowers, inflammation calms, hydration improves, and digestion becomes efficient. The body receives a different message. It is safe to release. And when the body feels safe, belly fat stops being stubborn. It simply becomes unnecessary. Most people think transformation comes from big actions, intense workouts, strict diets, dramatic overhauls. But the body doesn't change because of what you do occasionally. It changes because of what you do consistently. And this is where small, natural daily rituals become incredibly powerful. A ritual is different from a task. A task feels forced, temporary, something you must push yourself to complete. A ritual feels grounding, repeatable, and supportive. It sends the same signal to the body every single day: stability, safety, care. And the human body responds profoundly to repetition. When you begin your day with a nourishing habit, especially one that hydrates, supports digestion, and gently activates metabolism, you are setting your internal systems in motion before stress and distractions take over. Overnight, the body naturally enters a mild, fasting, and repair state. Fluids shift, detox pathways activate, and stored energy begins to mobilize. But without proper hydration and stimulation in the morning, that process slows, and the body drifts back into conservation mode. This is why certain simple morning practices can reduce bloating so quickly. Hydration helps flush retained sodium and excess water. Warm fluids stimulate gastric movement. Natural compounds from herbs, citrus, or plant ingredients can encourage bile flow and digestive enzyme activity. The abdomen feels softer, lighter, less distended, sometimes within days, not because fat has vanished instantly, but because the environment causing swelling has improved. Rituals also regulate appetite. When the body receives steady, nourishment signals early in the day, blood sugar stabilizes. This reduces the sharp spikes and crashes that drive cravings for sugar and refined foods later. Instead of fighting hunger all day, energy remains more even and choices become easier. The nervous system interprets consistency as safety and stress-driven eating begins to quiet down. Perhaps most importantly, rituals build momentum. Each day you repeat a supportive action. You reinforce identity, someone who cares for their body, someone who follows through, someone who is moving toward change. Motivation stops depending on emotion and starts resting on pattern, and patterns reshape physiology over time. So while a single healthy action may seem small, its daily repetition becomes biological instruction. Over days and weeks, the body learns a new rhythm, one that favors digestion over stagnation, release over retention, and balance over resistance. The idea of a homemade drink supporting weight loss can sound almost too simple. In a world filled with complex diet plans, expensive supplements, and extreme routines, it's easy to assume that something made in your own kitchen couldn't possibly influence metabolism or body composition in a meaningful way. But physiology tells a different story. The body is largely fluid-based. Every metabolic reaction, every detoxification pathway, every digestive process depends on adequate hydration and the presence of supportive compounds that help enzymes and organs function efficiently. When hydration is low, or the digestive environment is irritated, metabolism slows, waste removal becomes sluggish, and the body tends to retain rather than release. A well-designed natural drink works on multiple supportive pathways at once. First, it restores hydration after the overnight fast. This alone improves circulation, lymphatic flow, and cellular energy production. Cells that are properly hydrated can mobilize stored fuel more readily, including fat. Second, certain natural ingredients gently stimulate digestion. When gastric juices, bile, and enzymes are activated, food is processed more completely. This reduces fermentation and gas formation that contribute to abdominal distension. It also improves nutrient absorption, which paradoxically helps regulate appetite. When the body receives what it needs, it asks for less excess. Third, many traditional plant-based components contain compounds that help regulate blood sugar response. Stable blood sugar reduces insulin spikes, and lower insulin levels favor fat mobilization rather than storage. Over time, this shift alone can influence where and how the body stores energy, particularly around the abdomen. There is also the anti-inflammatory effect. Mild, chronic inflammation encourages water retention and metabolic resistance. Ingredients rich in antioxidants and phytonutrients help calm this internal irritation. As inflammation lowers, tissues release excess fluid, and the abdominal area often appears flatter, even before significant fat loss occurs. Finally, a consistent daily drink acts as a metabolic cue. The body begins to anticipate this signal: hydration, digestive activation, nutrient input, at the same time each day. Predictable cues strengthen circadian rhythm alignment, which improves hormone timing related to hunger, energy use, and fat metabolism. So the power of a homemade drink is not magic or exaggeration. It is synergy. Hydration, digestion, blood sugar regulation, and inflammation support working together. And when these systems cooperate, the body shifts naturally toward efficiency. And efficiency favors fat burning over fat storage. 14 days can sound insignificant when someone has been struggling with belly fat for months or even years. It can feel unrealistic to expect meaningful change in such a short window. But the human body is remarkably adaptive, and when the right signals are introduced consistently, it can begin shifting far faster than most people expect. The key is not drastic change, but repeated alignment. Every time you eat, drink, sleep, or manage stress, you are sending instructions to your metabolism. Most people unknowingly send mixed signals. Restriction followed by overeating. Dehydration followed by sudden excess. Fatigue followed by stimulants. The body reads inconsistency as instability, and instability encourages conservation. It holds on. But when supportive actions repeat daily, something different happens. Hormonal patterns begin to stabilize. Cortisol fluctuations soften when the nervous system senses predictability. Insulin responses become less dramatic when nourishment timing becomes consistent. Digestion improves when the gut receives regular hydration and stimulation. None of these shifts require months to begin. Many start within days. Cravings are often the first visible change. As blood sugar swings, reduce and digestion improves, the urgent desire for quick energy foods begins to quiet. This alone changes daily calorie intake without conscious restriction. Energy levels become steadier, making movement feel easier rather than forced. Sleep often deepens slightly as stress chemistry lowers. These early shifts create a cascade. Better sleep improves hormone balance. Improved hormones reduce storage signals. Reduced storage allows gradual fat mobilization. Water retention also responds quickly. When inflammation decreases and hydration becomes adequate, the body releases excess fluid. It no longer needs to buffer irritation or sodium imbalance. The abdomen can appear visibly flatter in a surprisingly short time, reinforcing motivation. This is not illusion. It is the body normalizing internal balance. Over 14 days, these small physiological adjustments accumulate. Metabolic pathways that favor storage begin to downregulate. Pathways that allow release begin to upregulate. The body is not transformed overnight, but it is redirected, and direction is what determines long-term outcome. Perhaps most importantly, consistency reshapes identity. Completing supportive actions daily builds trust between intention and behavior. The mind stops questioning whether change is possible, because evidence is visible. Momentum replaces doubt, and once the body experiences a more balanced state. It tends to prefer it. So 14 days is not the end of change. It is the point where the body remembers how to change again. For many people, weight loss has long been framed as a battle, a test of discipline, a measure of willpower, a constant effort to override the body's urges. The language itself reveals the mindset: fight cravings, crush fat, attack the belly, burn calories. And when the body resists, the conclusion feels personal. Not strong enough, not consistent enough, not capable enough. But the body is not an enemy to defeat. It is a system to support. Sustainable weight loss does not come from forcing the body into submission. It comes from creating conditions in which the body no longer needs to hold excess weight. This distinction changes everything. Because when weight is approached as a symptom rather than a failure, the focus shifts from punishment to cooperation. When the body is stressed, it stores. When it is undernourished, it conserves. When sleep is poor, hormones shift toward hunger and retention. When digestion is inflamed, the abdomen distends and metabolism slows. These responses are not mistakes. They are protective adaptations. The body is trying to survive perceived threat or imbalance. Punishing strategies intensify those signals. Severe restriction increases stress hormones. Exhaustive exercise without recovery elevates inflammation. Skipping nourishment disrupts blood sugar stability. The body interprets these conditions as scarcity and strain, reinforcing storage pathways. Weight loss may occur briefly, but sustainability falters because the environment remains hostile. Supportive strategies reverse the message. Adequate hydration signals safety. Consistent nourishment stabilizes insulin and appetite hormones. Gentle metabolic activation encourages energy use without triggering defense. Digestive support reduces inflammation and bloating. Restorative sleep aligns hormonal timing. Each supportive input tells the body resources are available. Threat is low, release is safe. In this state, fat loss becomes a byproduct rather than a forced outcome. The body begins to utilize stored energy because it no longer anticipates deprivation. Hunger becomes regulated instead of urgent. Energy improves instead of declining. Compliance stops feeling like sacrifice because the physiology itself is cooperating. This is why sustainable change rarely looks extreme. It looks repeatable. It looks kind. It looks biologically aligned. A daily homemade drink, balanced meals, consistent timing, and supportive routines may appear simple. Yet they address the core regulators of weight hormones, digestion, inflammation, and nervous system tone. Over time, the body responds to what it experiences most often. And when what it experiences most often is support rather than stress, it moves naturally toward balance. A flatter belly, then, is not forced into existence. It emerges as the visible reflection of an internal environment that finally feels safe enough to let go. So, As we come to the close of this journey, remember what these past moments have truly been about. Not a quick fix, not a miracle promise, not a battle against your body, but a return to partnership with it. Because your body has never been working against you. It has been responding, faithfully, intelligently, to the signals it receives every day. Stress or calm, chaos or rhythm, deprivation or nourishment. And when those signals begin to change, the body changes with them. Over these 14 days, the goal was never perfection. It was consistency. A simple daily act of support. Hydration that awakens metabolism. Ingredients that soothe the digestion. Rhythms that stabilize energy. Small, repeatable cues that tell your physiology it is safe to release, safe to rebalance, safe to let go. And that is where real transformation begins. Quietly, internally, almost invisibly at first. Until one day the waistband feels looser, the mirror feels kinder, the energy feels lighter. And you realize something deeper has shifted, not just your belly, but your relationship with your body. So, continue gently, continue consistently, continue supportively. Because when the body feels safe, balance follows. And when balance returns, the changes you seek no longer need to be forced. They simply unfold.